Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be a special one. First, happy Trans Day of Visibility. Happens every year, March 31st. Mark your calendars. Trans people exist, whether you want them to or not. Whether some divine being created us to be this way, or created us incorrectly, or tried creating us in their image and then just kind of like made a funny little like joke at the end where they gave us the wrong genitals or something. You know, trans people come in all shapes and sizes, and honestly, I mean, I have yet to meet a person who isn't beautiful in some way. Oftentimes they reflect so much through what they are rebelling against, because when you consider that trans people typically are not assigned the correct gender at birth, that means that they are taught these ideas and skills that then they transition and have to learn a new set of skills and learn how to behave in society completely differently almost. Because there are expectations placed upon us by society, and there's this sort of social construct we all undergo that we don't get to really make a choice in. We as people aren't meant for 40-hour work weeks, but in the United States, if you want to pay rent at the end of the month, 40 hours, that's a light work week, because a lot of people are working 60 hours, 80 hours, multiple jobs. And you gotta consider the time between jobs, the lack of rest that factors into the person's life. And there's so many things that shape us in a variety of ways. I think capitalists have sort of indoctrinated us into believing that hard work is character building. I find hard work enjoyable, but I don't find working to points of exhaustion to be hard work. I find it exhausting work, and that is a completely different thing. We have a system right now where we're fighting for crumbs at the bottom of the barrel, and the billionaires are scraping up the value in our faith-based economy, and our dollar is worth less and less. And you see someone like Trump saying, we don't need the penny anymore because nothing costs a penny. And no one sort of registers how scary of a concept that is. We've literally inflated beyond the point of one of our units of currency. That would be like if people were to get so big the atom was no longer recognized as the atom, as the smallest building block of all matter, not including subatomic particles. We're not going to get into physics. You want that, go over to Angela Collier's channel. She's really good about that. She talks about women in space, and it's funny because you can see sort of the undermining that occurs in the sciences against women for no reason other than being women. And it's wild to me how that pattern just sort of also applies to trans women. Because when I was in Bahrain, I was a master of my craft. I was a SHF strategic SATCOM technician. I knew everything about my antenna. No one questioned me when something went wrong. They would ask me to fix it. And then I came out as trans, and all of a sudden people just had questions about how I knew what I knew. Hey, Chloe, how do you know the regulations for how far you can be away from the ledge of a unguarded rail platform? There's no rail, and there's the ability to fall through. How do you know you can't be near that? I don't know. Safety? Like, aren't we all supposed to have safety as our number one? But the thing is, there was a phrase in the military that I thought was absolutely hilarious, because when I learned it, people first, mission always. You want your people to be the best they can be. Your job as a leader is not to go, oh yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that, you ought to be doing this if you want to get here. You can provide guidance, but providing guidance and mentorship is not inherently leadership. If you want to lead someone, the best way you can do that is give them the resources. And sometimes those resources are guidance and mentorship, but oftentimes those resources are someone who cares, someone who listens, someone who shows some modicum of wanting success from the other person. But when you look at how a supervisor treats someone who doesn't necessarily meet the quota of the day or whatever, oh, you didn't move enough boxes in the factory world. Goodness me, we won't talk about that time. But When you have a supervisor that works like that and puts this like abstract mission first, there is a noticeable difference between the happiness of the people that work there. Because what's wild is you can go on most any smoke deck and find out who the least liked person in the office is by going, oh yeah, you hear about what this guy does? And then someone will chime in with, oh, you hear about what this guy does? And then that's, you know, the little gossip circle. Everyone does it on the smoke deck. Don't act like you don't go out to smoke so you can talk to the gossipers, because everyone knows that's the only reason we take 15 minutes every hour as mandated by our government contracts with wherever we're employed, because we're citizens of America. And you think we're going to work a whole hour? No. We get our 15 minutes off every hour on the hour, and if you don't take a 15-minute break every hour on the hour, good on you. You want an award for it? I'm not making an award. I got a break coming up. That's not my job. I don't make awards for people who don't take breaks. But you know what's wild is billionaires do. They want to incentivize that behavior, because at the end of the day, that missed break to you, that loss of energy that you could have been recovering or recuperating or centering yourself, anything really. Think about it. If you had 15 minutes every hour for 8 hours, you got yourself about an hour and a half in that time. You factor in an hour-long lunch because it's an 8-hour day. They're going to give you half an hour, but you got to have 15 minutes to get there and 15 minutes to come back. So you got an hour there, 15 minutes every hour. So that's 3.5 hours out of the day you don't have to work. You got 5.5 hours of work left. And what's funny about work is you just split it up in such a way where it's like, okay, I'll do 10 minutes of work here, and then I'm going to take a quick break. Just not like the on the hour break, but you got to take like, because the 15-minute on the hour is a smoke break. Sometimes you need like a fresh air break, or sometimes you need like, I don't know, I like to go to the local corner store and just kind of talk with the clerk or whatever, and typically I'll buy a Monster Energy drink. Not sponsored, by the way. Don't drink Monster Energy drink. It's literally poison. It's probably killing me from inside myself. But again, it's like licking a 9-volt battery. It's just so good. I don't care how bad it is for me. Again, and don't take up smoking just to go on the smoke deck, to go and talk about the gossip. Another cool thing you can do instead of smoking is just have a pack of cigarettes, and when someone goes, hey, you gotta smoke? Yeah. And just be there with that. Because everyone always, first off, I have never gone to a smoke deck and gone, anyone got a cigarette I can borrow? But for whatever reason, among smokers, if you're in a close-knit community, that'll happen frequently. Oh yeah, you got a smoker? No, go to the store. What, we get paid the same. What are you talking about? We're both in school together. Anyway, that's beside the point on whether or not people should be going to the smoke deck to source cigarettes. Not when the smoke deck is the same distance away as the convenience store where you can buy cigarettes. Are you kidding me? You walked over here? Oh, well, I don't have money. Why don't you? We work at the same place. Sorry, this isn't Navy thing. That's not. I don't think it's like that in the real world, but I had quit smoking before I got out of the Navy. Honestly, I don't even know if the smoke deck is the place for gossip anymore. I stopped doing that because I am an adult and I don't really care what other people think. Yeah. But I did just get a diagnosis last week where a psychologist he said he wasn't a medical practitioner, but he examined my mind and gave me some pretty good insights into it. And it turns out I'm interpersonally submissive, which I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know what that means in the bigger context of who I am and how I operate in the world, because so often I've been putting up this, oh yeah, I gotta do this or do that. I gotta excel or try harder. I'm not doing enough. And then something like the Wokestravaganza happens, and I think this is my opportunity to reach out and see my community make some beautiful art. And I was fortunate enough to not just see beautiful art, but to make a friend. And it warms my heart. I really appreciate the participation we had, and I believe everything's all settled. So the Wokestravaganza for, is it 2025? Yeah. But we're done with it. Sticky basket wins. Naturally, it's like that time I got removed from the military, or that time that they gave me my GI Bill still because they had to give me the honorable, because if they didn't, they knew where I was going after the Navy. And that's like that time when Trump tried to take away veterans' health care through the VA, and I had already had issues with Navy medical health care, so all of my health care was already separated from the VA, and I had already had control over my entire life, so every strike that's been made against me has just missed. And it's sad because on this Trans Day of Visibility, I am visible, but there are people in my community who aren't. And it's not any fault of their own, but the stresses of the world are not easy on my community. And that community is trans veterans, also people with mental stuff that is not neurodivergent. That's the word I'm looking for. I am neurodivergent. That's the best way of putting it. I'm just a little fucking thing of all sorts of stuff. So it was really cool getting a piece of paper that tells me that, but at the same time it recontextualized things in my childhood that all of a sudden felt sour. And maybe someday I'll get into that, but right now it's still a pretty sensitive topic, so I'm gonna bounce off of that. And as a matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I just wanted to say thank you all for your participation in the Wokestravaganza. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for letting me into your life, because on this, especially this Trans Day of Visibility, thank you for letting me be visible. This channel has been an absolute love of mine to participate in, and it in no small part is because of you, and it's awesome. So thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be able to do another tournament when the government decides to give me a little payout for whatever the hell. This time around was the tax return, but I don't know, I'll find out a way to get money out of them. Trump's president, so whatever. Remember that time he gave us all stimulus checks in COVID? That was... Can we get another stimulus check, bud? Eggs are pretty expensive. That's fine, he's not listening to me. But that's okay, because you are, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. I love you. Have a great night. Happy Trans Day of Visibility. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!